Hello and welcome to class 220. 220, yes. We're progressing. We certainly are. Certain is ciertamente, certainly, certain, cierto. No cierto como verdad. Ciertas veces, certain times, certain. Se pronuncia como sí, señor. Yes, sir. Número 10. Certain. Es un poco como montaña. Mountain, que es cerveza Mau. Número 10. Mountain. Y sí, señor. Número 10. Yes, sir. Certain. Certain, yes. Certainly. We're certainly progressing. Congratulations. Congratulations on your progress. My God. We're starting today, Unit 21. Although I want to do point 23 in Unit 20. So are you ready? I don't need this pencil. Yes, this pencil is on the table. A few seconds ago, it was in my right hand. A few seconds ago, I was holding it. I was holding it with both hands. But I'm not holding it anymore. Why? Because it's on the table. And why is it on the table? Because I put it on the table. And why did you put it on the table? Because I wanted to use the past tense with was holding, the past continuous. And now, Richard, what are you going to do with the pencil? I don't know. Any ideas? Any suggestions? En plural. En español, probably you would say, ¿alguna idea? ¿Alguna sugerencia? En singular. Any exige plural para contables. Y la palabra sugerencia es una palabra contable. One suggestion, two suggestions, three suggestions. So, any ideas? Any suggestions? Yes, Richard, put the pencil back in the cup. All right. Like this? That's right. Okay. Do you live in Madrid? You don't. Where do you live? You live in Talavera. Okay. Did you live in Madrid last year? You didn't. Where did you live? You lived in Talavera. Okay, good. Did Akimorita live in Japan last year? Yes, he did. Does he still live in Japan? For the moment, yes, he does. Will he live in Japan next year? Probably not, but we'll see. But he lives in Japan for the moment. Is he married? Yes, he is. Was he married 3 years ago? Yes, he was. Richard, are you married? Yes, I am. Were you married 10 years ago? Yes, I was. Are the pencils in the cup? Yes, they are. Were they in the cup in yesterday's class? Yes, they were. Were they in the cup during the first class last January? No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Is the guitar on the table? Yes, it is. Right here. Was it on the table during the first class last January? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Does the Spanish government have weekly meetings? Yes, it does. Los consejos de ministros. The Spanish government has or holds weekly meetings. Did it hold weekly meetings last year? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Does Mexico have a flag? Excuse me. Does Mexico have a flag? Flag. What does flag mean? Flag. Yeah. What does flag mean? How do you say flag in Spanish? Flag. Bandera. Oh. What was the question? Does Mexico have a flag? Oh, of course it does. Does it have an interesting flag? Yes, it does. It has a flag of an eagle eating a snake on a cactus in a lake. It's a very interesting flag. Does Spain have a flag? Yes, it does. Did Spain have a flag 100 years ago? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Does Barack Obama live in the United States? Yes, he does. Did he live in the United States 50 years ago? No, he didn't. Where did he live? 50 years ago, Barack Obama. He lived in Indonesia. Really? How long did he live in Indonesia? I think he lived in Indonesia for 5 or 6 years. Was he born in Indonesia? No, he wasn't. Where was he born? He was born in Hawaii. Was Hawaii a state when Barack Obama was born? No, it wasn't, I think. Hawaii became a state, I think, in June or July 1959. I'm not sure about the month. Look it up. Okay? Look it up. Búscalo. Yo no tengo. I don't have a, where's my telephone? Ah, it's here. Okay. I don't have a computer, so I can't look it up. But you can look it up. Hawaii became a state in 1959, but I don't remember in what month it became a state. Barack Obama was born, I think, in 1959. I think he was born the same year that Hawaii became a state. Maybe he was born the following year. Maybe he was born in 1960, but I'm not sure. And Richard, yeah, where were you when Barack Obama was born? I was in Houston, Texas, when Barack Obama was born. How old were you when he was born? Well, if he was born in 1959, then I was 7, probably. It depends on the month, but probably I was 7. If he was born in 1960, then probably I was 8 years old. And where were you going to school? I was going to primary school. What was the name of the school? The name of the school was Longfellow. Longfellow Elementary School. Longfellow? Tipo largo? Largo tipo? Yes, Longfellow. That's his name. Who was Longfellow? Well, Henry Longfellow. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was an American writer, an American poet, an essayist. When did he live? Well, is he still alive? No, he's not. When did he live? He lived in the 19th century. Where did he live? I think he lived in Massachusetts, in Boston, but I'm not sure. Is he a famous writer? In the United States, yes. Where does Angela Merkel live? The Chancellor of Germany. She lives in Berlin. Where did she live when she was a little girl? When she was little, she lived in Hamburg. In Hamburg. Was she born in Hamburg? I don't know where she was born, but she lived in Hamburg. And then the family moved to East Germany, and she grew up in Leipzig or Dresden or somewhere. I think she grew up in a town near Berlin, in East Germany, in the Soviet bloc. So Angela Merkel was born in Hamburg, I think. Look it up. Okay? Angela, se dice Angela con G dura. Angela. En inglés se dice Angela, G suave, Angela Merkel. But in German, Angela. Angela Merkel, I think, was born in Hamburg. And then, when she was 2 years old, 3 years old maybe, the family moved to East Germany before the wall was built. And after she lived in East Germany, the wall, el telón de acero, yes, the Iron Curtain, the wall was built. So she grew up in East Germany. I grew up in Texas and in Oklahoma. Francois Monet was born in Paris, and he grew up in Paris. And was Li Tong born in Paris? No, he wasn't. Where was he born? He was born in Shanghai. Did he grow up in Shanghai? Yes, he did. Does he still live in Shanghai? Yes, he does. Does he have any children? Yes, he does. How many children does he have? He has one daughter. How old is she? I think she's 7 or 8 years old. And does he work? Does he have a good job? Well, a good job. He has a job. Where does he work? He works in a factory. What kind of factory does he work in? He works in a telephone factory. And does he have a good salary? Well, for the middle class, yes, he has a relatively good salary. Did he work in the same factory last year? Yes, he did. When did he start working in this factory? In the factory, the telephone factory? Yes, when did he start? Did he start working? También se puede decir, when did he start to work? Con start, gerundio o infinitivo. He started working in this factory 11 years ago, a long time ago. And does he like his job? Yes, he does. His job is very mechanical. His job is a bit monotonous. Hombre, monotonos, monotonous. His job is a bit monotonous. It's very mechanical, but he likes his job. Does he want to move up in the organization? Yes, he does. Is it easy or difficult to move up? It's difficult to move up, but he wants to study English. And why does he want to study English? Well, he wants to learn English because he wants to move up in the organization. And he thinks that if he speaks English, the probabilities are better to move up in the organization. But did he study English last year? No, he didn't. Did he study English when he was in school? No, he didn't. Does he want to study English now? Yes, he does. Where does he want to study English? Well, he wants to go to a language school near his house. Is there a language school near his house? Yes, there is. Does his wife know that he wants to study English? Not yet. For the moment, his wife doesn't know. Is his wife Chinese? Yes, she is. Did she grow up in Shanghai like Li Tong? Yes, she did. When did they meet? Who? Li and his wife. When did they meet? They met 10 years ago. Really? Where did they meet? They met in the factory where Li was working. Li started working in the factory 11 years ago. And 10 years ago, he met his future wife. But he met her in the factory. Yes. What was she doing in the factory? She was working in the factory. Oh, so they were workmates. Yes, they were workmates. And when did they get married? They got married 8 years ago. So they worked in the factory for 2 years together before getting married. Yes, they did. And does Lee's wife, still work in the factory? No, she doesn't. Where does she work? Well, she doesn't work. She's a housewife and a mother. So did she leave the factory? Did she quit her job? Yes, she did. Why did she quit her job? Why did she leave the company? She left the company. She quit. Se escribe quit. She quit. Con Q-U-I-T. She quit her job because she became pregnant. She was expecting a baby. She became pregnant. Well, when did she quit her job? She quit her job about 8 years ago. Okay. And so she doesn't work. No, she doesn't work. Well, she works a lot, but at home, because it's a lot of work. To be a housewife and a mother is a lot of work and a big responsibility. All right. Does Lee know you? Yes, Lee knows me. I went to China 3 times in 2016, and I went to China once. Yes, I went to China 3 times in 2016, and I went to China once in 2017. Se va a imponer el 2021, 2022, pero hasta ahora yo siempre he dicho 2000, hasta el 19, año 19, porque 2019, pero ahora con 2020, 2020, I think the evolution is to 20. So I went to China 3 times. I went to China 3 times in 2016 or 2016. And I went to China once in 2017. I met Lee during the first trip, but I didn't meet him in Shanghai. You didn't? No, I didn't meet him in Shanghai. Well, where did you meet him? I met him in Beijing. What was he doing in Beijing? I don't know. I met him in a hotel. But did you speak to him? Yes, I did. But excuse me, Lee doesn't speak English, right? No, he doesn't speak English. Do you speak Chinese? Me? No, I don't speak Chinese. Well, how did you communicate? We communicated through, a través de, we communicated through an interpreter. No. Did you pay an interpreter? No, an informal interpreter, a Chinese friend of mine, Jing. Through her, I communicated with Li Tong. Okay, so that's why I know a lot of things about Li Tong. That's why. And this drawing is based on a photograph I took of Li Tong. Escucha esto. Este dibujo está basado en una fotografía, etc., que saqué. To take. In English, to take a picture. Or to take a photo, to take a photograph. To take a picture, to take a photo, to take a photograph. Now, escuche esto. This picture is based, escrito based, o sea, basado en. This this drawing or picture is based on a photograph I took. Ahora, enlacemos fonéticamente, escucha. This drawing is based on a photograph, etc. Entonces, es muy socorrido. la expresión basado en. Based on, based on, based on, based on, based on. Para el futuro, para que lo incorpores en tu vocabulario. Ya, correctamente pronunciado, porque based, basado, no se suele decir sin añadir en castellano. ¿En qué está basado? Está basado en, based on, based on. Es como decir un bastón, andar con bastón, pero vamos con la letra A en inglés. What's the first letter in the alphabet? A. Base. La base is the base. ¿Y una base de béisbol? Baseball. Baseball. Based on. Based on, based on, based on, based on, based on. Based on this, based on that, based on the current situation, based on the information I have, basado en la información que tengo, basándome en la información que tengo, based on the information I have. So, this drawing was made based on a photograph, based on a photograph, based on a photo, based on a picture I took in Beijing of Litong. All right, so, is there an elephant in this room? No, there isn't. Are you sure? I mean, can you see? I can see everything in this room except what's behind me. But you can only see me and the buildings and the props. Maybe there is an elephant behind the camera. Marta, is there an elephant in the room? No. So there isn't an elephant in this room today. Was there an elephant in this room yesterday? No, there wasn't. Were there any elephants in Madrid yesterday? Yes, there were a few elephants in Madrid. In the zoo, yes, there were a few elephants. Is there a museum near here? As far as I know, que yo sepa, as far as I know, there isn't there isn't a museum. Recuerda la pronunciación de museo. Todos miura tarjeta SIM del teléfono. Miura SIM, museum. Stress the second syllable, museum. As far as I know, there isn't a museum near this studio, this television studio. The closest museum is perhaps 2 kilometers, maybe. Well, it's near, relatively near. Are there any trees in Almería? Yes, there are some trees, not too many. There aren't too many trees in Almería. Are there any trees in Texas? Yes, there are. There are a lot of trees in Texas. Are there any trees in Antarctica? I don't think so. No, there aren't any trees in Antarctica. Were there any trees in Antarctica 100 years ago? Probably not. Probably not. There weren't any trees in Antarctica 100 years ago. Were there any people in Antarctica 100 years ago? Maybe, yes. In 1920? Probably there were some people, explorers or scientists in Antarctica 100 years ago. Were there any people on the island of Cabrera last year? Yes, there were some people on the island of Cabrera in the Balearic Islands. Yes, there were some people. There's a family that lives in Cabrera for, I think, para el faro, the lighthouse keeper and his wife. Yes. On Cabrera, there's a lighthouse keeper, que es el farero. Keeper is como guardián. To keep is guardar, ¿no? Guardián del faro, the lighthouse keeper, and his wife. I know his wife. You know the lighthouse keeper's wife in Cabrera? Yeah. Yes. She was my girlfriend many years ago. Really? Yeah. And I remember she wrote a song. She wrote a song. Espera, a ver. This is strange. Many years ago, you had a girlfriend. She's the wife of the current lighthouse keeper in Campanita. That's right. And she wrote a song when she was your girlfriend. Yes, that's right. What was the song? Well, the song is, I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and keep him company. I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and live by the side of the sea. Wow. So, and in the end, she married a lighthouse keeper. Exactly. She left me. She dumped me. Dump is like a vertedero, bam. She dumped me. She left me for a lighthouse keeper, following the philosophy of her song. She wanted to marry a lighthouse keeper, and she married a lighthouse keeper because she wanted to keep him company. And now she's keeping him company. I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and keep him company. I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and live by the side of the sea. Yes, so I lost a possible wife. See you in the next class.